Let's say I own the pizza parlor and the majority of my supporters, my customers, like pepperoni pie. So out of my 10 tables at the restaurant, 9 order pepperoni pie. Then there's that 10th table who really doesn't like pizza at all, but just doesn't like the fact that the majority of people are coming to my restaurant to eat pepperoni pizza. And then they decided to show up at the pizza parlor and place an order. As the tables places their order, they are telling the waitress they want sushi. The waitress informs them there are no sushi because this is a pizza parlor. So that table accuses the business of discriminating against sushi. And that pepperoni lives matter. Pepperoni should not be digested the way the restaurant owner is making people digest it. So, as the other tables begin to place their order, the 10th table decides to become the pepperoni freedom fighters. And as the pizza prep guy starts placing the pepperoni on the pie he's putting together, one of the pepperoni freedom fighters reaches in and removes the pepperoni from the pie. The prep guy puts some more and pushes the pepperoni freedom fighter out of the way and says, "Hey man, people are waiting for their pizza. Get out of here. You're interrupting my work." So as he begins to place the pepperoni pie in the oven, the pepperoni freedom fighter says, "You shall not place it in the pie to be devoured by the tables, you fascists." The pepperoni freedom fighter reaches in the oven and gets burned. Yeah. So the owner comes out, me. I come out and I ask, "What's the problem here?" "We're making pepperoni pizza great again." Get out of here. Sounds crazy, right? Yeah. Just like those stupid whistles in Minnesota right now that those nerds continue to blow and the whole thing. So by now you've seen again, overseen the video of what we know so far of the shooting death of Alex Pretti by federal agents in Minnesota last week. You have both sides telling their versions. My favorite side will always be the one that I like to refer to as the law experts online, the floor attorneys. One side will tell you that he was a peaceful observer. The other side will say he brandished a weapon. One side will say he's just an ICU nurse, just going to get a donut at a donut shop and trying to help a fellow citizen that was in trouble, that was knocked down by that evil ICE agent. The other side will say he came to massacre law enforcement. I know everybody has given their opinion on the matter, and just like theirs, my opinion doesn't matter. But I'm going to give it to you anyway. And you are gonna like it! I saw the shooting video, and to me it looks like during the struggle, either the weapon fell off or one of the agents grabbed it, which I think there is some video to support that. But people, what I can tell you is that when there is a situation, if you're involved in, right, where you have the attention of law enforcement and they are at the point of laying hands on you, do not resist. And never ever resist while you are armed. I tell my team all the time at work, if you are having a contact or you're having contact with police, and even if the contact is wrong on their behalf, don't fight. Fight it in court. Because if you decide to fight it there on the side of the road, on the street, wherever the contact's being made at that moment, whether you're hurt or the officer's hurt or the officer hurts you, your family, your loved ones will be the most out of all of them to lose. It's just how it boils down. Trust me. The moment you decide to resist, no matter the outcome, you will lose. Think about them before you think about yourself. So all the news networks, or out of all the news networks, CNN actually reported on the fact that Alex Pretti had a run-in a week or two prior with federal agents.
CNN is also now learning that about a week before his death, Pretti suffered a broken rib when a group of federal officers tackled him while he was protesting their attempt to detain other individuals. CNN's Priscilla Alvarez has the breaking details on this. Priscilla, what have you learned?
Well, according to sources who spoke with me and my colleague Jeff Winter, we are learning about this encounter that Pretti had with federal agents a week prior to his death. Now, we've learned more about what occurred over this incident, and we're told by sources that he had stopped his car when he saw ICE agents chasing what he described to sources as a family and began shouting and blowing his whistle. In that incident, he was then tackled by 5 agents, and one of them leaned on his back. That left him with a broken rib. This is according to the sources we've spoken with. And one of the sources said, quote, that day he thought he was going to die.
Now, there's a video from another news team that apparently was founded by BCC employees that via some using some sort of technology, they can say 97% for sure is Alex Pretti in the video having a run-in with federal agents.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Pretti interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground.
But if we all have to be honest with each other, right, we need to ask a few questions. So, does Pretti's history justify his killing? Does the fact that he did not have a gun in his hands justify his killing? Does that mean that ICE or BCP officers are guilty of murder? Did the agents see the gun, or did they just hear their fellow agents yell, "Gun"? Did the agents believe their lives or those of their fellow agents were at risk? Like I said already, you cannot resist arrest even if it's unconstitutional. You do not have a right to resist. The best thing to do is to fight it in court. Let the process go. Many people don't like it, but law enforcement have something called qualified immunity. Some believe officers should not be protected under this, but until there's a better standard, I will tell you that I believe you need to shut up. So we have Grand v. Connor is a case law that more than likely will be argued here if this moves forward to court, which is the Fourth Amendment's objective reasonableness standard rather than using the substantial due process standard. But just like all Monday morning quarterbacks, like we're doing here, they all came out in full force to let you know what happened there and the facts based on what they're saying. We all had the days to look at it, hear different opinions, and come up with our own conclusions, just like the main agitator in the Twin Cities. Check him out.
I just saw a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. How many more residents, how many more Americans need to die or get badly hurt for this operation to end? How many times must local and national leaders must plead with you, Donald Trump, to end this operation and recognize that this is not creating safety in our city? Have seen these kinds of operations in other places, in other countries, but not here in America. Not in a way where a great American city is being invaded by its own federal government. I'm done being told that our community members are responsible for the vitriol in our streets. I'm done being told that our local elected officials are solely responsible for turning down the temperature. Conversely, the mass militarized force and unidentified agents who are occupying our streets, that is what weakens our country. That is what erodes trust in both law enforcement and in democracy itself. So to everyone listening, stand with Minneapolis. Stand up for America. Recognize that your children will ask you what side you were on. Your grandchildren will ask you what you did to act to prevent this from happening again, to make sure that the foundational elements of our democracy were rock solid. What did you do to protect your city? What did you do to protect your nation?
Let me share another more serious scenario with a question for those of you who have ever been a victim to a crime. Whether that be someone who broke into your car, stole your car, broke into your house, burned down your house, maybe you were brutally attacked and ended up in the hospital. Someone shot you, stabbed you, God forbid, someone raped, murdered, assaulted, or you or someone you love. Say the police found out where the criminal was and they were going to get him. Here's my question to you guys. If you have ever been a victim, or even if you heard the scenario and you understand the scenario that I just mentioned, would you want the police to go grab that perp? I would think the majority of you are saying, of course. How would you feel if your fellow citizens got in the way of the police trying to capture that suspect? Regardless of all the ICE needs to go nonsense because they are causing chaos. It's complete false and everyone knows it. But the continued rhetoric, the escalation of calling ICE Nazis, KKK, and all that other BS these dumb so-called leaders keep spewing will get more people hurt, period. I mean, you heard Major Frey, whatever his name is. Now listen to his little retarded uncle.
I spoke twice this morning shortly after I received the call of this shooting. I spoke with the President's Chief of Staff, and first request was to get her people out of there, to get these federal agents out of there. They were going to cause more chaos. And second call is, with no uncertain terms, that we will investigate this. We will not be stonewalled. What we've already seen, and you saw it this morning, before any investigation is done, you have the most powerful people in the federal government spinning stories and putting up pictures, and unrelated people who we don't know anything about, and a picture of a firearm to try and spin a narrative. And I ask Americans, this will end when enough Americans say this will end. Do I have any confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing? No, I don't have a lot of confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing. I do have a lot of confidence that the majority of the American people will do the right thing. And I think there cannot be very many people across this country looking right now, after all the reporting that's been done, after everything that's been said, under the pretense that they are here about immigration reform, and quit referring to these people as law enforcement. They are not law enforcement. We have law enforcement who do. There's a whole lot of Republicans, for whatever reason, cannot find their spine, but they might find the ability to know that they're not going to win another election as long as they live, unless they stand up for what's right, and stand up for the rule of law, and stand up for human decency. And that's the
As you heard, no balls walls, he made sure to immediately put the blame on Trump, to completely and demoralize and insult the immigration custom enforcement agents as not real law enforcement. This is so dangerous, and they will not be happy until a federal agent is hurt or murdered. Stop the nonsense, Walls. Also, him using these buzzwords, like chaos, American values, our neighbors, blah, blah, blah. It just irks me that people hear that and fall for it. This is why we got so many radicals out there, like Alex Pretti. I heard people at work repeat that nonsense, actually, but unfortunately for them, as a former cop, I always have my biased opinion to contradict a lot of the misinformation out there. During the Obama administration, I got to deal with ICE a handful of times. They asked for help in certain operations, so we went. Whoever the majority was at the time whether it was to jail or whether it was on the street, they would ask for help and, we would assist them. But for the most part, what happened was the hardened criminals, the ones that had already committed crimes in the community that were wanted in the community, had warrants already, we went to pick up. We got them either on a traffic stop or serve a warrant. ICE will come and pick them up at the jail. Or it would just be someone locked up for driving without a license, and they were placed in the jail, and they had a ICE retainer at the time. ICE would come and pick them up. It was straightforward. There were no fights, no reaction, no protest, no one getting hurt, unless the perp wanted to put up a fight. I think we had one situation like that, but it worked. And they were getting deported, right? If you weren't in this country, you didn't belong in this country, you needed to get out, period. It's what's happening right now. And by the way, just a reminder, Obama deported a whole lot of immigrants. So Minnesota can now put an end to all this dangerous rhetoric, nonsense, and all these protests by just picking up the dirtbags, right? They're police, they're 500, 600 strong police, dropping them off at the jail, call ICE. But they won't. I believe this is the goal of Tom Homan, who's up there right now, going there, and hopefully it will calm these things down and all these agitators. So the agitators could go back to figure out what the next protest is going to be on whatever drama they come up with later.